What's up, guys and gals? Welcome back to the Nerd Castle for the next episode of Subnautica. This is going to be our last episode. I've already decided we're just going to explore around and have some fun. Now that I know, like, unobtainium is no longer, like, available in the game, it makes me sad. And so I figure I'm just not going to deal with it anymore. I want to look around. I mean, I'm not saying that I'm not going to deal with the game. I'm saying that I'm not going to, like, look around for unobtainium and gold anymore. We're just going to see how deep we can go, how far we can fly, and what things we can accomplish here. Hopefully the people that said that the energy does not matter on your craft were not, like, messing with me, because if we get stranded at the bottom of the ocean at like 250 meters, it's going to be very, very ugly for us. Now, the developers have said that there's going to be pressure added to the game, where you have to have like certain suits to go to certain depths, and you have to depressurize, and, you know, vehicles that can only stand certain depths. So, for example, the Sea Moth would be for down to like 220, and then past that, you would have to do something else. Our hunger and our thirst is looking a little bad right now, but I think it'll be okay. I think. I don't know. Let's keep diving. We've got a little bit of energy left, and I want to see how deep we can go. How far into this giant crevice? Oh, look at that scar right there. Oh, shit. So what is this supposed to be? Supposed to be like an MOR or something? I'm not really sure. I think it is. I think this is going to be like an MOR or something. So if you don't know what an MOR is, there's stitches across the surface of the Earth, and in the middle of the ocean, they're called mid-ocean ridges, and it's locations where the plates are just kind of like intersecting, and it's where seafloor is created. So from those crevices, the pressure underneath the Earth pushes more seafloor out, and it bubbles up out of volcanic spots, and it creates more seafloor. This then converges towards continents, where it'll dive below once it cools to a sufficient enough temperature, which is why you have, like, continental volcanic chains and, you know, random little areas that cause problems, island arc chains and things like that. It looks like, oh, 4% energy left. We're going to find out. Here we go. Hold your breath. But anyways, an MOR is basically just a volcanic region where more seafloor is created. I assume that that's what they're trying to create right here, although I really have no idea. Well, we're at 0% energy, and it appears to still be working. Well, that's a good thing. That actually cheers me up a little bit. I don't know how much further we can go, honestly. Like, very, very... Oh, definitely don't want to damage the hull this deep under the ocean. That would be a terrible, terrible plan, and there's no way that's going to work out for any of us. Including you, noble viewer. All of us are going to come up... What is that? Hold on, let's go up to the top here. Anything that we care about? No? Well, there doesn't appear to actually be that much out here. Once you get deeper out, it appears as though the depth of the ocean... This may not be like developed biome territory, though. That's part of the thing that I'm thinking about. What is that? Like some obsidian or something? Not really sure. We'll figure it out later on once the game's been developed a little bit further. But yeah, for right now, we're just taking a drive through the various zones that we can participate in. It looks like... Oh. Weird. We may have hit the edge of the map. Let's find out. Let's go up to the top. We've got about, 250 meters to go, so it'll be a little bit of a climb. There we go. I wasn't able to see. Let's get back into contact with this thing, so that at least we have some point of reference before we go anywhere else. Wow, we're almost there. Oh, wow, we hit, like, land. Yeah, I definitely think we may have broke the game and gotten to, like, the edge of the map. Taking a look out my window here, it looks like we've hit some kind of very, very large wall that's meant to keep players from going any further. Maybe? It looks like we might be able to dive underneath it, actually. I don't know, let's keep no, there it is right there, actually. Okay, so at least we know there's land on this planet now. Oh! Alright, everybody, so basically what ended up happening is when we hit the edge of the map right there, it crashed the game. That's pretty interesting. That's fun. I actually don't even care that it just crashed the game. Let's just go, like, swim around and just, like, have a good time. Like, let's swim down inside this little sea tuba right here and just see what it has for us. Yes, let me inside you, magnificent oceanic trumpet. I want to crawl through your horn. It feels so delightful and nice. Alright, well, we got, like, basic needs we have to take care of, but I'll probably just make some oxygen tanks or something. Let me just, like, swim around. Look at the lovely scenery. I think we've pretty much, like, pushed all of the depths that this game has to offer. We essentially swam so far that we broke it. That's, you know, we rode it so hard that we broke it. I'm okay with that. I think that that's exactly the type of way that I would like to look into a game, and that's what we're going to do. I'm going to grab some of these little dudes right here. Oh, there's quartz down in there. Well, thank you for pointing it out to me. I appreciate that lovely little HUD, although, here, I'll open my PDA, but only so you will go away. Awesome. So let's get back up to the surface. We got to find ourselves some emery so that we can get a knife. We can stab up these little air sac bastards because they've been talking shit about our mothers. And so we'll be like, give me that bladder. That is the recompense. Hold on, I'm going to catch you first. I also wanted to point out I found a way that you can get infinite membranes. You can just keep like you can keep an air bladder in your inventory, or an air sac, and then when you need bladders, you can release him from your inventory and then like hit him a few times with the knife and then loot him again. And it basically gives you an infinite source of air bladders so that you never run out of water, in case you had wondered about that. It'll actually revive the air sac every single time that I don't even know if you can kill the air sac, to be honest. I stabbed it a lot of times, and it still seemed to be alright. Well, let's get ourselves a knife and we can handle all these problems. Pretty happy, though, with the game right now. I mean, obviously, we found, like, a lot of things that are still being worked on. The game is very much like a work in progress. It's got some definite, like, whip action happening. And so, I think that for what I've seen so far, though, I'm really excited to see the way that the game's going to go. Whether or not it actually turns out to be anything other than, like, a fly-by-night, you know, next big thing, quote-unquote, crafting game will remain to be seen. I mean, obviously, every single game developer, I think, wants, hey, Peeper, come here. The game is telling me to catch you, therefore I catch you. Alright, so we caught some peepers, probably grab some more metal. But yeah, my impressions of the game thus far, since the game crashed on us and we can't really do anything else right now, I mean, it's going to take me at least another 25 minutes or so to get all our stuff back. I figure I'll just do a brief, like, what I thought of this series so far. I was going to do it at the end of the week anyways with our weekend wrap-up, but I figure this is good enough. I like the game so far. Everything feels right about it with the UI and with the way that you swim and kind of the momentum that you carry while you're around. I think the balancing needs to be tweaked a little bit with the food. I mean, sometimes I feel like I'm always hungry, and then other times it seems like I'm never hungry at all. It's very, very strange. But hopefully they'll get those balances all tweaked out in the future. That's obviously something that you would do very, very late game. You're not going to do balancing changes early on in alpha. You're just trying to get content out. You're trying to get systems developed and things like that. But as it stands right now, I'm really hoping that this game stands the test of time and actually manages to become more than just another generic crafting game. At the moment, it does have a unique setting going for it, but there are a lot of crafting games that have unique settings going for them. I mean, Planet Explorers would be a game that I would talk about where... Oh, we're almost out of O2 here. Let's go back up to the surface. Anyways, Planet Explorers would be a game that I would talk about and be like, yeah, it's got a unique setting, and it's got crafting, and it's got, you know, the unique aspect of players can mod in, like, anything that they want and create their own vehicles with tools that exist inside the game, and, you know, it's got interesting aspects to it, but once again, there's a lot of crafting games out right now, and players do have a tremendous amount of choice when it comes to picking which crafting game that they want to play. I mean, that's the truth of the matter, is that crafting is very much in vogue right now in gaming, and I don't think it's going anywhere, but it definitely needs to develop as a genre, and I hope that this game will be that push that you need. I mean, the vehicles so far, from the way that they've been described to me, seem like they're going to be awesome. I can't wait to try out the Cyclops. Did I get that halite over there? I got enough salt on board. We'll be okay. But yeah, I would love to try out the Cyclops and the way that it attaches to the Seamoth and can launch the Seamoth out of itself, using itself as essentially like a carrier, like a vehicle carrier. That's very, very cool, and I like ideas like that. Things that add like a sense of lore to the world and make it feel like the vehicles are unique and don't, you know, behave as though they do in other games. And I think it's gonna be fun. Let me go get some oxygen tanks made right here. As far as the sound effects, they've downright nailed it. I mean, when you're deep down in the ocean, there are some very, very unnerving sounds that you go up against while you're down there. And I'm the kind of person that I'm kind of like afraid of the ocean. Like, I'll swim in it and stuff, but not a big fan of going into like deep areas. Once the water starts to get black, I start to get real, real nervous. I'll snorkel where it's like 25, 35 feet deep. But much beyond that, I'm not that brave of a human being. I'm just not. I'm just not. Let's eat ourselves some creepers, or some peepers. There we go. I'm gonna get some carbon made right here. But yeah, the sound effects and everything, as of right now, it feels like the game feels remarkably complete, even though there's not that much content. Like, everything feels like it works the way that it should. The game doesn't out-tab well, but I mean, there are release games that don't out-tab well, so I'll probably wait till later on in development to ding it for that. As of right now, let's get these tanks up and running so that I can dive for longer. We don't have a dive meter, which I'm hoping that bug gets fixed, because I like the little meter over there. It's nice that our lady calls out like when we got 50% and stuff like that, but still, at the same time, I would prefer it if we had the meter still working. Let's go get ourselves the stuff for the knife right now while we hang out. I think that the biodiversity is definitely something that I would prefer to see. I feel like right now a lot of the critters are clustered together and you see a lot of the same things in the same areas. I'm hoping biodiversity is a big thing that they're going to focus on in this game, because the ocean is one of the most diverse areas on the planet. I mean, you think we've got weird animals in the rainforest, wait until you go down in the ocean, and they say that we haven't even discovered like a vast majority of the things that are underwater. So all those things considered, they should have a lot of leeway to just make weird critters in the ocean. And I hope they're spread out a little bit more. Not so much that you never see them, but so much so that once they get into the DNA collection system that they've been talking about, where you're starting to catalog all these creatures and figure out what they do and what they're useful for, once you get to that point, perhaps some of them you'll have to bait them in different ways. You know, just little systems that I'm thinking about in my head as a gamer. Like, I love Monster Hunter and things like that, so how can we now implement various systems from other games so that you can have massive monster hunts or like sea creature hunts, or even smaller creatures will only be attracted to certain types of bait so that you can grab them real quick and just like grab them and tag them, you know what I mean? So that you can get them on the dictionary or like into the encyclopedia. Oxygen's officially at 50%. I feel like we've got enough time underwater right now to not have to worry about it. I mean, I would love to see what would happen if I just fill my entire inventory with tanks. It looks like we can get 4 tanks. It looks like all together you can have 12 tanks, so you can be underwater for up to 6 minutes. If you've got like maximum tanks, maybe 6.5 minutes, because I think you start with 30 by default. Very, very cool stuff, though. I like the setting of this game, and I have a lot of high hopes for it. Once they implement the pressure systems where you have to have various suits for various environments, they would be able to add glacial systems. I mean, diving in a glacial system would be very, very different, because you have to worry all the time about various walls of the glacier, like sloughing off and causing problems. Volcanic systems, obviously things that exist inside of the ocean, like we talked about earlier in the episode. You've got mid-ocean ridges where the planet's plates are literally tearing themselves apart, and new hot material is bubbling up out of it and creating new seafloor. Very, very interesting stuff that they could all implement. And in fact, using that internal MOR system, they might be able to come up with a way where over time the planet that you're playing on evolves. You know, the plates move around and things like that. I don't necessarily know if that's something that they're interested in implementing, because that would be incredibly complicated and it would be kind of a trip. But still, at the same time, there are so many little tiny. Oh, we've got a popper right there. I'm gonna try and stay away from him. Oh hell, we're gonna get blasted. Ow. Yes, thank you. Thank you for popping right next to me. I appreciate it. Trying to stay away from that one over there. Oh, stay away from you too. I don't like any of you guys. If I die down in here, oh, there's a whole bunch of poppers that way. We're definitely cut off over there. On this side, oh, we're cut off over here too. Well, we about to die. Ow. 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 You died and lost some stuff. As long as it wasn't one of my tanks. Did I lose one of my tanks? I can't really tell. Ooh, we're like glowing. Ooh, we're all bright and glowy. I enjoy being bright and glowy. We need to go find ourselves some metal, and the problem is I picked it pretty much clean while running around. But as the game stands right now, it's beautiful to look at, it's beautiful to play, everything feels good. It just needs content, and from what I understand from the developers, it just went into early access on Steam, so I would assume that that's probably, I mean, all the internal systems seem to be working fairly well. I haven't suffered from the crashes that a lot of people have said that they've had. I mean, I know I've had 2 crashes during the course of this little series right here, and in lieu of a save system, that does become a little bit of a problem. At the same time, some people are saying they're crashing like every 5 or 10 minutes, so if you are thinking about backing the game, be aware that you might be one of those special select systems that has a lot of trouble with this game. Did I lose my... Oh, I did. I lost both my emery too. That sucks. Okay, so we gotta find some more emery too. Luckily, we can go underwater, and emery is not that hard to come by. It's around. You just sort of gotta find it. I think some flippers or something might be a good idea. There we go. How much sand do I have right now? 2 sand, so I need 4, 3, 4. There we go. That'll make me some flippers in just a second. Right there is one of those brain anemones that I was talking about in one of the earlier episodes, in case you wondered what those look like. You can harvest those for coral just as well as you can harvest anything else. I'm hoping they'll have a segment where you can get onto the ship and once you're on the ship, it'll have like a randomly generated quote-unquote dungeon where you can run around on the ship and try and find parts and different like energy cannons and things like that. Obviously, combat is going to be factored into the game, seeing as you can already use a dive knife to fight off a lot of the creatures. I'm hoping that they'll make it even more complicated than that, like you'll need certain weapons to hunt certain creatures, certain baits to get those creatures out in the open. Some very, very cool ideas that could feasibly be implemented into this game, just in terms of like the spitballing and idea storming that you can do. We need a knife, we need like flippers, we need something down here. I'm probably going to try and grab all this metal while I'm down here, just to see. There we go, I'll try and grab this one over here too, just to see if maybe it's going to be possible to get ourselves one of those little water gliders all taken care of so that I can swim a bit faster. Floaters over here, I realized we never looted those during the course of this playthrough, so let's loot some floaters over here. I wouldn't recommend looting floaters from anywhere in a random municipal area. That would be a terrible idea. And when you loot them, look, they make you float up to the top, kind of. Do they? Well, anyways, the rock sinks. So I think that this right here might be the developers just playing around with the physics systems. Got a bunch of floaters in our inventory. And watch, if we release them right here, they'll suck back to the rock. Oh, those ones are going straight up to the surface. Interesting. Usually they suck back to the rocks, but these ones look like they're on their way back up. I wonder if we can harvest these for membranes too. Ew, I want to stick my finger in there, but I kind of don't at the same time. It's a temptation. The temptation is real. Let's grab ourselves a bit more metal, maybe. But yeah, I like the game so far. I like the setting. I think that's the big thing that sells it for me, is there's a lot of crafting games out there, but being able to craft under the sea, like a little scuba environment, because I think the thing that becomes unnerving about a scuba environment is that we as human beings are not adapted at all for this environment. We are just not good at it. Like, some people have webbed fingers and toes and stuff like that, but that's about as good as we get right now. This is not a place where we have any sort of like evolutionary advantage, and I think it's interesting playing in these zones because it kind of frames that in such a way that you start to realize how fragile being a human in the ocean is. I hope the creatures become more behaviorally adapted. I hope they get more aggressive. I hope they get more angry. I hope they get more violent, because as of right now, there's not a whole lot of things to kill you aside from suffocating. But I've had fun. I think I'm going to leave the episode right here. I want to thank you all for hanging out with me in Subnautica. I look forward to seeing you all in whatever it is we do next. Our early access preview is thus concluded. If you like the game, feel free to check down below and get all the information you would ever need in order to go ahead and download the game. I will be playing it in my free time because I like it. Aside from the crashes, I'm still enjoying the game, so I will see you all later. Take care out there, everybody, and hi-do.